Hello, hello. It's Friday, time for calm in the center of the storm. This storm has been going on for months now. I never believed it would continue as long as it has, but here we are, and we continue to strive on. And today I want to talk about a topic that is maybe something you might say, we can't really do that now, but I beg to differ, okay? Because we're going to talk about feeling joyful. Yes, I know we're in the midst of this incredible situation, and I always say that there's a way to view your feelings and your thoughts differently so that you can negotiate through times like these with peace and joy. Yes, it's possible, and yes, we can do that. We're going to talk about that today. So, because my experience is teaching students how to connect with their inner wisdom. That you have a master switch that can help you connect with the source that connects you with everything in the universe, so to speak. And that's where peace and joy are when we make that connection. So, when we learn how to do that, it really becomes a lot easier, and something you look forward to initiating in your own life. So, all right. Well, last week, because we've been talking about stimulating your spirit, and spirit, again, is not about anything religious. It's about that part of our nature that recognizes it's connected to the greater good, if you want to call it, the universal consciousness. It doesn't matter what you call it. What does matter is that you experience it. So we have last week in the series we had talked about patience ability, developing your patience ability, and in order to stimulate your spirit. And patience is a really useful thing to have when we're dealing with other people, especially when we're in close contact with people over long periods of time, as many of us may be. So that was an interesting conversation, which you can find on my Facebook feed. And but today we're talking about being joyful. And so there are various little aspects we can discuss in how to accomplish that. And nothing you don't know already, but perhaps this discussion will inspire you to rethink the possibilities here and be able to put them into practice. So the first one is to stop waiting to be happy, right? Stop waiting for it. It's like we're waiting for the lottery ticket to, win, or we're waiting for somebody to do something that we think they should do so that we can feel great. We're waiting for all these other things and other people to do or situations to occur. And that's not where joy is, because joy is an internal decision. Yes, it's an internal decision. It has nothing to do with anything external out there. We decide when we want to be peaceful. We decide when we want happiness in our lives. We decide that within ourselves. And then you have the experience of seeing it or in the world around you. Not in the world necessarily, but in your life at that moment. Okay, I'll be very specific here because, of course, I'm not going to change the events in the world, but I can change how I perceive them and what my part to play is in those events. So that's very important. And when you're coming from a joyful perspective, you're going to act very differently than you would if you were coming from negativity and fear. So stop waiting to be happy. Stop waiting. It's your decision. It's available to you whenever you make that choice. All right, the second thing that we can do to help stimulate our spirit is to help other people. It's amazing how when you reach out and help somebody else, even in the simplest way, holding a door for someone who's walking behind you, just the simplest things, remembering somebody's birthday and sending them a note, it's the easiest thing in the world. just smiling at someone as you pass them in the street or in the supermarket. Of course, we have masks on now, so they can't see. But you know something? You can see a smile in somebody's eyes. I see it all the time. Everywhere I go, when I smile with my eyes, I see them smile back. So don't think that just because you're wearing a mask, people can't see your joy, because it's there if you want to show it. So by helping others in the simplest ways, and of course you could help them in more meaningful ways too, if that's something that's available to you and that you're able to do, and have the ability of the time, great. Because again, when we reach out to help other people, feeling that connection with other people brings a joyful experience to us. Because we've made that choice. Remember, it always goes back to the fact that you made that choice, not because somebody else did something, okay? All right, other thing. Surround yourself with joyful people. Does that make sense? And that's another way to stimulate your spirit. We have choices about who we choose to be with. Maybe not everybody, but certainly our friends, the people that we spend our off work time with, they're choices that we make. And I know sometimes it's hard because we have long-standing relationships, and maybe with certain people who are not of a joyful nature, shall we say, and yet we feel beholden to them. But I want you to think about that, because just because you feel a connection with someone for a long period of time doesn't mean you should drop them from your life because they're not joyful. But what it does mean is you can start to move toward other people and maybe give this other person a little less time. You don't want to kick them out of your life. That would be cruel. Unless, of course, they're doing something very negative and harmful. If it's a toxic relationship, you should immediately get rid of it, no doubt. But really, we do have choices to choose the people we want to be with, and it's really so important to our own good mental health to spend as much time as possible with other people thinking in the same positive way. Or maybe not in the same positive way, but in a positive way. For instance, I'll give you an example. I went for an acupuncture treatment yesterday, and it's my doctor gives it to me, and I just love this guy. He's great, Dr. Rubin. He's fantastic, and we have the most wonderful conversations. He has a totally different political view than I do. Voted for a different person than I did. However, we can have wonderful conversations and hear each other. And I talked about this last week, about listening to another person who has a different opinion, and allowing yourself to hear what they have to say without judgment. And that's what we do with each other. We really do. He appreciates what I have to say. I appreciate what he has to say. And we laugh a lot. We make jokes about things and treat life lightly, because the lighter you treat life, the more joy you're going to feel. It's that simple. Okay, so what was I up to? Yes, and that includes, of course, laughing. All right, laughing more. Laughing. Yeah, the more we can laugh, and I don't mean derisively, I mean with joy, to laugh and see the insanity of this world. It's beyond. There's no way you can rationalize it. It just doesn't make sense so much of the time. And my best reaction to that is just to laugh about it, because I have no control over what goes on in the world, but I do have control over how I perceive it. And so if I choose to lighten up about it and say, well, I'm listening to my guidance and I'm going to do what I'm given to do in order to use my tools and use my expertise in the best way possible. But I'm not going to be able to change huge events going on in the world, perhaps. So I'm not worried about that. That's not my job, and I can smile and be joyful in what I can do. So laugh. Like I said, find people who are joyful, and you'll laugh together, and you will lighten each other's load tremendously. Okay, another one. Appreciate the tiny things in your day. In your day, I'm not even going to say in your life, but in your day. The little itty bitty things that we kind of just let roll past us. You wake up and the sun is shining. You say, "Thank you. I'm so glad the sun is shining today." You know, there's that joyful moment of being in the midst of nature. And I'm looking out my windows right now and seeing this bright, beautiful sunshine, and it just lifts my spirit. So, so just tiniest little things. I was taking a walk the other day, and I happened to notice a leaf that fell on the ground. It was a great big leaf with kind of crazy edges, and the color of it was so gorgeous. It was Mother Nature at her best, just this most magnificent golden color. And I just stared at it with such joy and such awe of the beauty of nature. For that moment, and I was totally absorbed in it. So it's little things like that lift us during the day, and it's kind of like an injection, a vitamin injection of pleasure and happiness. And the more we give ourselves those little happiness injections throughout our day, we're kind of building up. We're building up a credit of joy that we can fall back on when we get down. And I'm not suggesting that we're never going to get down, because sure, I have my moments, don't we all? I'm sad. I am very, very sad, because I am not going to see my family for Thanksgiving, except maybe for a few minutes outside. I don't even know if we're doing that, but no beautiful Thanksgiving dinner with the whole family, and I'm really disappointed about that. So, and yet we're going to find ways to have joy on that day. I know we are. So appreciate the small things to stimulate your spirit. Appreciate the your dog or your cat, right? That you can spend a few minutes rubbing and talking to, and seeing their pleasure in being with you, or having a good meal. Oh, nothing I like better than that, right? Having a really delicious meal. Or a good night's sleep. The slightest little thing is an opportunity for joy. So keep that in mind. All right. And the last thing that I say all the time, and you're probably tired of hearing me saying this, but it's what I truly believe is the most essential and helpful thing to experience joy in your life, and that is to spend quiet time every day, preferably every morning before you even start your day, in that quiet place of receptivity and listening with your inner spiritual ear for guidance. What am I supposed to do today? Tell me, how am I supposed to take what I have to offer in the world and put it out there for myself and for other people, right? It's not just about doing everything for every other people, but also to bring that sense of peace and joy to yourself, and a sense of accomplishment. Because when you, as I said, help others, when you're with people that are, that you enjoy being with, all of these things, you're laughing, you're appreciating the small things. When you're doing all of those things, your spirit is just blossoming, and it's sending out gorgeous energy and radiation to everyone around you. And that can only mean good for your business, good for your relationships, good for your life in general. So make finding joy a habit, a daily habit, and you will be so glad that you did. Okay. All right. So that's our talk for today on finding and feeling joy in your daily life. To stimulate your spirit. This is the last in our Stimulate Your Spirit series, which will soon be an ebook that you will have available, and I'll let you know about that. But if you enjoyed this discussion, please tell other people about it, pass it on, give me a like, give me a whatever, and share it, because we need to share the things that inspire us, and I certainly hope that this has done so. All right, so we're going on to our next part of our time together for this, what I call the spiritual part, but it's really the relaxation and internal getting to know ourselves part. So, and that is doing our little guided meditation and breath work, right? Breath work. You know how I always say breath work is so, so important. It's the number one easiest tool that we can use to relax ourselves when we're feeling stressed, right? So, oh, here's my funny bent candle. It's my Halloween candle. I'll turn it this way. Yeah, my orange candle for November. So, okay, so today's breath, I thought, what's a joyful breath? So I thought, okay, let's do it this way today. We're going to always, as we always do, we're always going to blow out the, we're going to blow out the stale, dead air in the lungs, right? But that's the first thing we do. And then we're going to breathe in 5 breaths, filling up the abdomen all the way up, and then a really quick open mouth out breath. So I'll just demonstrate, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to do that 5 times, okay? So 5 in, and then let it out. Open your mouth and blow it out as hard as you can, and push that belly in, okay? So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Blow it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now just kind of close your eyes for a minute and feel that. I hope you're feeling dizzy. You should. You should be. Because that will bring so much oxygen into your every part of your body, and that's why our heads are spinning a little bit, because all of that fresh oxygen is just like, whoa, where did that come from? So just enjoy that feeling. And as we relax into this moment, let's think about joy. How do we express joy in our life? How do we allow joy to fill us and bring us to a place of peace where we're totally stress-free and completely relaxed? How do we do that? How do you do that? And maybe the realization is you don't do that. You don't find the time to just sit down for a couple of minutes and do some of the things that we just talked about. Do some of those things of just how you can, figuring out how you can help someone else, right? How can I join together with more positive-minded people? How can I laugh more? What can I do to find humor in life? Go see a funny movie? Well, maybe we're not going to go see a funny movie. We can catch it on Netflix or whatever, what have you. watch comedies. We can appreciate the small things in our life, right? That's going to bring joy and stimulate our spirit even more, so that with each of these little things that we can do, we can bring ourselves to a place of contentment. Don't you love that word, contentment? I love that. It kind of brings in that idea of containing a sense of wholeness and completeness, so that we can feel like in this moment I have everything everything I need. I am complete and whole, and there is not a thing that I lack. And that's a beautiful experience to feel. That's joy. That's joy. And it's, something, it's there with us all the time. It's just that we perhaps forget to notice it, forget to nurture it. That's the choice that we have. So let's just spend a minute now, just close your eyes and spend a minute and allow yourself to get in touch with your feelings. How do you feel at this moment? Are you feeling joy? Are you feeling contentment, relaxation? If you're not, I want you to choose again. I want you to make another choice. I want you to say, I deserve joy in my life. I deserve peace. I deserve to be without stress. I deserve fulfillment and complete happiness. Can you say that? Let's see you do that. Let's see you stand right in yourself, right here in your own beautiful self, and say, I deserve joy. And then just list a couple of things you might be able to do to encourage that joy in yourself. Okay. Well, I hope that brought you some joy. And take that into your day and share that joy with others. You'll be glad you did. Well, our time is done. Hi, Michael. Glad you got here. And I'm going to say goodbye for now. But I want to share with you something in the newspaper. There's a section called On Faith on Saturdays in Newsday. I'm still one of those old-fashioned people that gets the paper because I like to actually feel the paper and read the articles on paper. And there was a question here about coping with elections that didn't go our way. And maybe that happened to you, maybe it didn't, I don't know. But it really applies to anything because we're talking about joy, right? So it's really about, how do we feel joy even when things don't seem to be going our way? And so there were two quotes. I want to read this one quote from Reverend Garofalo, who said, he quotes Romans 13 from the New Testament. It says, let every person be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God, and those that exist have been instituted by God. I guess meaning God's decided who the winner was or whatever, and so we should kind of be happy with that. Okay, that's one perspective. And then the other thing I wanted to read comes from Isma Chaudhry, and she quotes from the Quran, which is the book of Islam, Quran 3. It says, hold firmly to the rope of God and do not be divided. Do not be divided. There's no joy in being divided. So let's find ways, because as I'm going to wish you a happy Thanksgiving, no matter what you end up doing next Thursday. I'll see you the day after, but no matter what you end up doing, I hope that you will allow yourself to not be divided, to experience a sense of unity and harmony and oneness. That's your choice. So take it. And as I always say, because everything begins with a thought, so keep those thoughts light and joyful. Have a beautiful weekend and a beautiful week and a happy Thanksgiving. Bye-bye.